Welcome to IADS Retail Park, a podcast by the International Association of Department Stores. Whether you're returning or joining us for the first time, I'm glad you're here. This is the space where we take a close look at what's actually moving in retail. The strategies, the missteps, and the institutions that keep rewriting what we thought we understood about how this industry works. Today, we're looking at something that cuts against almost every assumption in retail strategy. I'm talking about the stores that chose never to expand. One building, one city, no second location, and in many cases, no desire for one. I'm your host, Maya, and joining me today is Christine, Director of Markets and Events here at IADS, and the author of this week's exclusive research on single location department stores. Christine, you looked at Liberty, Harrods, Bergdorf Goodman, Le Bon Marché, stores that sit at the very top of global luxury retail, all operating from one address. When you started pulling this research together, where did you even begin?
Thanks for having me back on the show, Maya. I think where I started was with a question I kept coming back to. Why are these stores still standing, and not just standing, but genuinely thriving, when so many of their peers that tried to grow have struggled or disappeared? The conventional logic says more locations equals more stability. You spread risk, you reach more customers, you grow, but these stores did the opposite and built something more durable. That gap between expectation and reality is where the research began.
And it is a real gap. Because when you actually look at the numbers, it stops feeling like nostalgia and starts feeling like deliberate strategy. Can you walk us through what the performance looks like?
Sure. Harrods draws around 15 million visitors a year to one building in Knightsbridge. That number rises to roughly 300,000 people in a single day around Christmas. Liberty reported 6% year-on-year sales growth in 2025 and 61% growth over pre-COVID levels. Their fabric business, which reaches wholesale buyers in 32 countries, now accounts for 30% of the entire company's turnover, from one store on Regent Street. These aren't stores coasting on reputation, they're performing, and the performance is tied directly to the fact that they have one location.
The fabric business is something I really want to get into with you, Christine, because it's such a smart solution to what seems like the obvious limitation of being single location. How do you grow revenue without opening new stores? But before we get there, let's talk about architecture, because you make a strong argument in the exclusive that for some of these stores, the building itself is the brand. Liberty is probably the clearest example of that.
It really is a great example, Maya. The Liberty Building was designed in 1924 and constructed from the timbers of two Royal Navy warships. Over 680 cubic meters of ship timber went into it. Those decks became the shop's actual floors. The result is a building that feels completely unlike any other retail space. It was deliberately designed to feel like a home rather than a commercial environment, arranged around three atriums with smaller rooms that originally had fireplaces. It's now heritage listed. You cannot build that again. And so when people visit Liberty, they're visiting something with no equivalent anywhere else, which is precisely what makes it worth the trip.
And that's the destination effect you describe. People aren't just going to shop, they're going somewhere. Harrods works the same way, but at a completely different scale.
That's right, Maya. It is a completely different scale. That's deliberate too. Where Liberty is intimate, Harrods is palatial. Around 100,000 square meters, a facade lit by 12,000 bulbs since 1959. And they keep deepening that experience. Their most recent major project created a two-story watches and jewelry department with vertical boutiques and Europe's first curved escalators. Research on the best retail destinations shows they achieve around $15,000 to $17,000 per square meter in performance, about 70% above average. That gap exists because these stores function as cultural landmarks, not just retail floors.
So the architecture creates the pull. But you also make the point, Christine, that this isn't just about beautiful buildings. It's about what the building enables commercially. And that's where Le Bon Marché becomes such a compelling story. What they've built there really is unlike anything else in retail.
Since 2016, Le Bon Marché has been commissioning museum-grade art installations from internationally recognized artists. Ai Weiwei, Chiharu Shiota, Daniel Buren, Leandro Ehrlich. These are monumental works, things suspended from ceilings, floors transformed into immersive spaces. The store has a permanent contemporary art collection of over 80 works and runs guided visits. €20 during the day, €45 after closing hours. Then in 2022, they went further and launched after hours theatre productions. Full scale immersive performances running Thursday through Saturday evenings with tickets between €50 and €75. One production co created with Cirque Leroux converted the ground floor into a circus venue. Another required an 8-meter tall structure built inside the building.
So they're generating revenue during hours when the store would otherwise be dark, bringing in an audience that might have no prior relationship with the brand as shoppers, and producing the kind of editorial coverage that no media budget could replicate. But here's what I keep coming back to. This level of investment only makes sense if you're concentrating everything into one location.
That's the core of it, Maya. The singularity is what makes the ambition viable. You can justify that level of investment artistically, financially, logistically, because there is one Le Bon Marché. Trying to standardize this across a portfolio would destroy what makes it meaningful. The same logic applies to Bergdorf Goodman's windows on Fifth Avenue, which have functioned as public art since the 1930s. They've collaborated with major cultural institutions, including the New York Historical Society. The windows generate earned media, anchor the store's position as the definitive luxury address in New York, and they work on multiple levels simultaneously. You read them differently from across the street than you do standing right in front of them. That kind of commitment only makes sense because there's one Bergdorf Goodman.
Let's come back to Liberty's fabric business because you described it in the exclusive as something genuinely rare. Can you take us through how that actually works and why it's so structurally important for a single location model?
Liberty has been producing fabric since the 1880s, working with artists from the arts and crafts movement, pioneering Art Nouveau textile design. They acquired their own print works in 1884. At the heart of it is Tana-Luon cotton, developed in the early 1920s, an ultra-fine long staple cotton with a silk-like quality that no other cotton has matched. It became their best-selling textile almost immediately, and still is. The archive now holds 45,000 original designs. In 2019, the fabrics business was growing 15% year over year and was the largest contributor to the Liberty Group. They launched a dedicated business-to-business platform that year, libertyfabric.com, opening the archive to trade buyers globally. And the collaboration list speaks for itself. Uniqlo, Loewe, Nike, Supreme, the Bridgerton series. As their design director put it in 2019, through the store they are curators, through the fabrics business they are makers. That combination is unique among global department stores, and it solves the fundamental revenue challenge of the single location model. Liberty now generates 30% of company turnover from customers who may never visit the store.
And Harrods does something similar through food and gifting, a model that goes back even further.
Yeah, going back since 1849, technically. Charles Harrod was dispatching hampers of preserves and teas before the current Knightsbridge store even existed. The food halls opened in 1905, and food has been core to the Harrods brand ever since. Their own brand range, teas, coffees, biscuits, chocolates, gift sets, is one of the most recognizable luxury private labels in global retail. They control the full value chain, product development, in-house manufacturing, packaging, corporate sales, international fulfillment. A hamper delivered to Tokyo or Dubai today carries exactly the same logic as one sent to Calcutta in 1849. One location, no geographic limits.
Christine, I want to bring in La Samaritaine because you included it as the counterexample, and it's such an important one. What happened there?
The Samaritan story is worth telling carefully because it's easy to reduce it to a renovation that didn't go well, and that misses the real point. LVMH acquired La Samaritaine in 2000, envisioning two complementary flagships on each bank of the Seine. The store closed in 2005 and the renovation took 16 years. The total investment was around 750 million euros. The architectural work, led by Sanaa, Pritzker Prize winners, was genuinely remarkable. The Art Nouveau details, the peacock fresco, the Art Deco facade, the new glass curtain wall. All of it was praised. But the commercial strategy was built around one customer, affluent international tourists, specifically Chinese luxury shoppers. The store was managed by DFS, LVMH's duty-free subsidiary, and the entire offer was calibrated for that profile. Parisians were never the target. When the store reopened in 2021, international travel was still recovering, and the anticipated wave of Chinese luxury spending never materialized. There was no local customer to fall back on because no one had ever tried to build one.
So the building was extraordinary. The investment was enormous. And the commercial proposition had a single point of failure with no resilience behind it.
Architecture alone does not create a destination. Visitors come to see the peacock fresco. They don't come to shop. In 2025, LVMH restructured, extracting Samaritaine from DFS and placing it under joint leadership with Le Bon Marché, with a genuine shift towards serving individual shoppers and building a local identity. The ambition is now to combine Samaritaine's exceptional location with Le Bon Marché's established Parisian presence, but it's a significant correction from where they started. The building was never the problem. The customer strategy was.
Christine, before we wrap up, there's something in your research I keep coming back to. These stores aren't just preserving something old. Liberty launched a B2B platform in 2019. Harrods opened a 1,000 square meter wellness clinic. Le Bon Marché commissions new artists every year. There's real operational discipline here that goes alongside the heritage.
And I think that's the most underappreciated part of the single location model. These aren't stores resting on heritage. They're institutions that use their heritage as a foundation to keep building. The assets compound. Each new collaboration, each art commission, each service addition deepens the offer in a way that's specific to that address and that history. You can't lift it out and drop it into a new market and expect the same result. The depth is the point.
Well, that's a great way to end things. Christine, thank you for writing this and for coming to dig into it with us today.
Thanks, Maya. It's always good to work through these ideas properly, and I enjoy doing that with you on the show.
You can read Christine's full exclusive on our Substack at IADS, Exclusive Insights. It goes much deeper than we had time for today, including the complete story of Liberty's Tana Lawn Cotton, Harrods Superbrands model, and the full Samaritaine timeline. The link is in the episode description. For more retail insights, follow us on LinkedIn at the International Association of Department Stores and visit our website. If this episode sparks something for you, share it or leave a review. Catch us on the next episode. Quick note, this podcast uses AI cloned voices created with human oversight. All content is reviewed by experts for accuracy and relevance.